This is the Oppressor Mark II, a staple of Grand Theft Auto Online. Almost everybody I know owns an Oppressor, except for the newer players, and that is where today's video is mostly catered. The Oppressor Mark II's price tag was changed just a couple months ago, from what was a fairly reasonable price to $8 million. Yes, the Oppressor Mark II is now $8 million, and that is without purchasing the Terabyte or adding in the upgrades you need for the Terabyte and then the upgrades on the Oppressor itself. Adding all these numbers up, it's around $10 million without the trade price, and with the trade price, it is around $8 million to get your Oppressor Mark II and equip it with missiles and fully kit it out. That is absolutely insane. In today's video, I'll be showcasing how you can spend the same $8 million on much more logical purchases and not only be faster when it comes to grinding, but be much more efficient. Let's get straight into it. Not only has the price tag on the Oppressor increased, but the usability of this bike has decreased over the years, nerf after nerf. For example, the Oppressor's flares are no longer very useful. You can launch one flare, as you can see, and then you have to wait about a 15-second cooldown before you can launch the flares again. I'm still pressing the flare button, still pressing it, and there you go. It is an incredibly long cooldown to launch the flares. One of the major capabilities the Oppressor Mark II is known for is incredibly deadly homing missiles. Unfortunately, these were stripped away from the vehicle when it was nerfed. For example, we shoot a missile at that police car in front of us, and it literally does nothing. Now, obviously, these missiles are still going to be decent at shooting still targets, but shooting anything that's moving, like, for example, if we get close to this police car and we shoot the missile, it will miss. In fact, you just watched it miss this police car just in a chase. I mean, that is incredibly sad. And when shooting at flying vehicles as well, you can see that the missiles miss and keep on going past the target and blow up in the sky. Let's compare that to something like a Toreador or the Ruiner 2000. Notice how the missile completely missed the helicopter, but still looped around and came back and hit the helicopter anyways. That would never happen with an Oppressor Mark II's missiles, and it is one of the major reasons why the Oppressor missiles are just so much worse than something like the Toreador, the Ruiner 2000, or really any of the missiles from a vehicle like this. Once again, we can see another helicopter off to the side of the road. We can shoot a missile at it, it goes all the way around it, and still completely hits. It's a great example of how the Oppressor's missiles are not nearly as effective as something like the Toreador, Ruiner 2000, Scramjet, or even Vigilante. So, you might be asking, what can I get instead of the $8 million that it would cost me to get my hands on the Oppressor Mark II? And the answer is quite astonishing. In front of you, we have three vehicles that you can get instead. First of all, we have the largest owned vehicle in the game, the Kosatka. It's $2.2 million, which is the best deal in the game. Why? Well, first of all, the Kosatka can start up the Cayo Perico heist. In fact, the majority of you watching this video most likely already own the Kosatka. It's an insane way of making money, and there's no dispute about that. But not only can you get the Kosatka, then you can purchase a Toreador and a Sparrow. Adding all of these up, it's going to cost you around $8.2 million. The same price as a single Oppressor Mark II. We can start off with the Toreador and talk about its advantages and disadvantages compared to the Oppressor. First of all, we have the rocket boost. This is obviously amazing. This rocket boost allows you to very easily accelerate up to about 140 miles per hour, and even with the deceleration of waiting for the boost to come back, you're going to average about 135 miles per hour, which is incredibly fast. Not only that, but you feature 4 doors, which means if you're ever doing any missions or things with friends, you can very easily carry them around, which is obviously incredibly nice. Another big advantage of the Toreador, you never have to despawn it. For example, the Oppressor Mark II features 30 homing missiles, which once you run out, you're going to have to go back into your interaction menu and call in a new motorcycle. Well, when it comes to the Toreador, it features unlimited missiles. You can keep shooting them over and over and over, no problems whatsoever. That is obviously an absolutely amazing thing going for this vehicle, and it's going to make it absolutely incredible at dealing with any targets in front of you. Other things the Toreador has? Well, first of all, it can go into submersible mode. I mean, this isn't anything amazing. You're never really going to use submersible mode, but hey, it is still pretty cool that you can go underwater. If you ever have any missions where you need it, I guess you've got the Toreador at your disposal. And to finish off all the compliments, this vehicle can survive 6 to 7 homing missiles before being blown up. Meaning that, sure, you can't fly and you don't have flares, but you can still take a absolutely beating before you are blown up. Something that people always try to pin as a big advantage for a vehicle like the Oppressor Mark II is how fast you can call it in. So let's test that. First of all, we got to register as a motorcycle club president. Now we're going to go to our motorcycle club president board and scroll until we find the Oppressor Mark II. Just like that, our Oppressor Mark II is spawned in, and as you can see, it's right next to us. So that was basically instantaneous. It spawns in right next to us with no problems whatsoever. Now we arrive at this second vehicle we're going to compare to the Oppressor Mark II. And as we just showcased with the Oppressor, you can spawn it in instantly. So let's see how quick we can go and spawn in our Sparrow. Boop! And would you look at that? Our Sparrow has spawned right in front of us. It's just that easy. Now sure, the Sparrow's going to take maybe 2 or 3 more seconds to actually get into the air compared to the rocket boost that the Oppressor features, but apart from that, you just have about every advantage over the Oppressor Mark II and the Sparrow. For example, you have flares. Not only do you launch 4 flares instead of just the measly 2 the Oppressor Mark II fires, but you can also spam these flares. As you can see, I can just keep launching them over and over with about a 3-second cooldown compared to the 15-second cooldown the Oppressor Mark II features. Because this is a full-fledged aircraft, I have unlimited homing missiles, just like the Toreador. And not only do I have unlimited missiles, but they are the exact same efficiency as the Oppressor Mark II's, meaning that dealing with any targets on the ground, I'm going to be much more effective spamming with the Sparrow than I am with the Oppressor, because I'm never going to have to despawn this vehicle. It gets even better though. The Sparrow flies at 170 miles per hour. That is 40 miles per hour faster than the Oppressor Mark II could ever even dream to fly. And the best part is that there's no fee when this vehicle gets blown up. So let's say I'm done with my Sparrow. I want to go, I don't know, kill a bunch of people on the street and not really care about my mission that's going on. Or somebody tries to blow me up and I ran out of flares or something, right? Well, no problem. If I want to get my Sparrow back, all I need to do is go to Services, Kosatka, and wait 1 minute and 50 seconds. It automatically gets cooled down, and it gets sent back to your Moonpool vehicles inside your Kosatka. So what that means is there's no resupply cost, you never have to call MMI, it's instantaneous. Because of this, I personally believe that the Sparrow alone is already a much smarter purchase than something like the Oppressor Mark II, as I've talked about in many previous videos. A lot of people watching today's video might already own the Oppressor Mark II, and might already have the other vehicles that I've compared in today's video. And if you do, then obviously this is just a suggestion, and use what you personally like the most. If you like the Oppressor for grinding, then use it. It's a fantastic vehicle, it's incredibly fast and gets the job done. And in no way is today's video calling the Oppressor Mark II a bad vehicle, which people need to remember. I'm simply stating that there are much better purchases if you are a newer player, especially trying to get into the hang of grinding and getting good vehicles to your disposal. I personally think that the Oppressor Mark II is definitely a great late game vehicle for grinding, but for a beginner it is definitely one of the worst purchases you can make for the price tag that it features. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or think that there are better options that I should have gone over. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.